Welcome to the continuation of the impact series that we've been having. I trust that you're having the time of your life. What was my mic? Anyways, welcome. I'm Sydney. I'm the visionary lead of Wondiva Global Community. And you're welcome and welcome back for those who have been coming. And please continue to stay because we have quality and solid teachings like this to help you on the journey to seeing yourself the way God sees you and walking out your life according to his pattern. Today, we're speaking about the spotlight effect. I'm not going to go back on all that we've been saying. We're on a series, and this is a continuation of the series, I think the fifth installment. So please actually go back to the YouTube video, wherever you're seeing this video from, well, it's on the YouTube channel, Wondiva TV, to see how and what we've been talking about that has led us to this place. But today we're speaking about the spotlight effect. And I'm not talking about the spotlight effect where you think maybe you do a new hairstyle and there's something like that and you think everybody is looking at you when maybe everybody is not looking at you. There's some sort of spotlight effect termed in that sense. That's the word I'm talking about. I'm talking about the spotlight effect God's way. I'm talking about impacts by doing things that you're supposed to be doing, staying on your lane and in your lane and allowing God to turn the spotlight on you. You have got to understand that everything and every instruction that God has given to you and every purpose that he has planned you for and he has proposed and shared with you, they are very intentional. There are things that are according to your design, to your destiny design. And if you don't believe in it because you are not being applauded, all of those things we've spoken about, because you are not being celebrated, because you are not being awarded or rewarded, you're going to shift out of God's pattern. Remember what I said about helping you? That's what we do here through the Wondiva vision, helping you live your life according to God's pattern. If you will live your life according to God's pattern, you're going to stay where God has asked you to stay. Believing, and I hope that you are hearing from him always, because to stay where he has asked you to stay, you have to know what he's saying about your current season. For him to be able to position you and for him to be able to gets you into your place of destiny, the destination he has prepared for you before the foundation, before the beginning, before you were birthed, before your mother and your father knew you. Before him to be able to get you to that place, you have to stay where you have been designed. And so I want to share the story of David as a case study for the spotlight effect. Before I share that, I have to explain. Let me read out the scripture. 1 Samuel 17. But David persisted. He was here having a conversation when he was saying, I can kill Goliath. He was saying I can kill Goliath, but I'm reading, listen. David is a character. But anyway, there's a conversation he was having with people outside when he was looking for his brothers. And they're like, who are you? What when they finally sighted him? Come on, get out of here. And it's like, what something. Why are you chasing me? Because he was having to read. You see, you need to go to 1 Samuel 17, okay? To understand all the things I'm saying, so that you won't be wondering, what Satan saying. But it's a very interesting story. Let's see if I can quickly read that part I'm talking about. So his father says, David's father, one day Jesse said to David, take this, which is David's father, take this basket of roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread, carry them quickly to your brothers and give these 10 cuts of cheese to your captain. What translation is this? Okay, NLT. To your captain. So see how your brothers are doing, bring back a report on how they are doing. So you have to understand that Goliath has been threatening the land and his brothers were there. So just like a lot of people who had the capacity to fight. But it was the people who had the capacity to fight knew. It wasn't supposed to be everybody. But okay, so David's father sends him on an errand. You see how God works. Don't worry. I'll break it down. So let's continue. Where's my scripture? And this has actually been happening for 40 days, every morning and every evening. Goliath will come in, threatening them, saying all sorts about their gods, challenging them that if they burn you well, may you come here, come do come beat me. That sort of thing in contemporary times. So you really grasp what was happening there. And so let me skip. So David left with the sheep. This is still First Samuel 17. I'm skipping verses but reading according to what specifically I want to share here. David left the sheep with another shepherd and set out early the next morning with the gifts as Jesse had directed him. He arrived at the camp just as the Israelite army were leaving for the battlefield with shouts and battles. Soon the Israelite and Philistine forces stood facing each other. Anyways, David left his things with the keeper of the supplies and hurried to the ranks to greet his brothers. As he was talking with them, Goliath said what he was saying again. If they burn you well, no, blah, blah, blah. Come try me. So David heard him. And as soon as the Israelite army saw him, Goliath, they began to run away in fright. So people were now having, like, have you seen these giants? He comes out each day to defy Israel. The king has offered a huge reward to anyone that can kill him. He will give that man one of his daughters for a wife, and the man's entire family will be exempted from paying taxes. Whew, what a reward. So David asks the soldiers standing by, okay, what will a man get for killing this Philistine and ending the defiance of Israel? Okay, this man gave David the same reply, the same thing I just read. Okay. So they said, so yes, that's the reward for killing. But in the midst, as David come, they get this conversation, as they talk as they converse, in brother can't see him. Earlier, David's oldest brother heard David talking to the men. He was angry. So what did they do for here? Like, what are you doing here? You think it's a joke? Like, adults are here having conversations, real time conversations of something that is really disturbing us, and you're here doing what? So his brother demanded, like, what about those few ships that you're supposed to be taking care of? The work what they're supposed to be doing? Call. I know about your pride and deceit. This one is a different conversation entirely. We're not talking about it in this video. But this is what Eliab, David's oldest brother, says. And you just want to see the battle. What have I done now? David was walking. See, waiting I don't do, where you call this para, where they shout. Waiting I don't do now. I was only asking a question. He walked over. So David left where his brother was, walked over somewhere else. And the same thing, he was talking, asking, hey, what's the reward? What's happening? The shark kept telling him the same story. This Philistine has been threatening Israel, this fight is willing to fight and all that, all that. So let's see, don't worry about this Philistine. David told, so I'll go fight him. Then David's question was reported. So as he was talking through, as he kind of talk, they go around, they ask the question 100 times. His question was reported to Saul. Actually, his question was reported to Saul. Notice that, because a lot of times we are told that David was making a declaration, and that's what was reported to Saul. That's why reading the Bible is really important for yourself. But you should understand that what is reported and written here is that then David's question was reported to King Saul. And the king sent for him that, come, why are you going around asking this question? And then don't worry about the Philistine. David responded to King Saul now, because he's already in the presence of King Saul as a result of his question. His curiosity got to the king. That's something for someone. So David is basically telling Saul, look, I'll go fight him. I'll go fight him. Don't be ridiculous, Saul replies. King Saul, there's no way you can fight this Philistine and possibly win. You're only a boy. He's been a man of war. You have to understand that Goliath don't they fight since. That's why his brother was like, get out. What are you doing here? Anyways, he has been a man. So like, you this boy, like, what's up? But David persisted. He said, I have been taking care of my father's sheep. Hey, God. He said, when a lion or a bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club and I rescue the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and I club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I will do it to this pagan Philistine. For he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the claws of the lion and the bear will rescue me from his Philistine. Maybe later in a different video, we'll talk about how David's curiosity and question got to the king. Because that's an important part that we missed. I think it's usually a different story. I think they're saying, oh, it's David's David said he can kill Goliath. That's what got to the king. But that's not what we see in the Bible, is it? David's question is what got to the king. I think that that's powerful. And that's a whole teaching on the power of curiosity and what it can do to change your life in the kingdom. For this video, I want us to zoom in on the conversation David is having from verse 34. I've been taking care of my father's sheep, goats. When a lion or a bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, I go after it with a club and all that, all that. What I want to say is that what we see explicitly in this verse and in this whole chapter and the chapters afterward is that God has been preparing David in the back of nowhere for a spotlight to be shown on him. You need to take that in. When David's time was going to come, it came. It wasn't forced. Did you see that it was Jesse's father, David's father, that sent him there? He didn't force his way there. He didn't hustle there. And there's nothing wrong if he heard that something was happening and he actually went there to go and look. But the story shows us that his father, he didn't know. Because it's not back then that was social media. Something is happening on Third Mainland Bridge. No. It's not. That's not how it usually was. And if you're not in Nigerian audience, Third Mainland Bridge is a bridge in Lagos, Nigeria. He was sent for him. And in that place, God revealed to David the destiny that he was going to birth him into if David was going to take the challenge. On our journey to impact, we have got to start seeing challenges and problems as opportunities. A lot of times we see challenges and problems as a corridor for complaining. You know that you're going to get out of it, but you are constantly complaining. You're constantly murmuring. You're constantly comparing. You're constantly asking God, why me? Why me? That is what you are busy doing with the challenge when it is an invitation for God to shine the spotlight on you for your greatness to be unleashed. So we see that God is a God, and there's so many other scriptures. We see that with the story of Joseph as well, the wisdom of Solomon. To keep this video to a particular time, I cannot really go into this, but we can keep exploring this conversation. Okay, look at the baby. Let's take a look at that Solomon's example. And the fact that the challenge came up and the two women fighting. I'm not going to go deep into the story. Please find the story and read it. But what I'm trying to say is at the end of the day, the baby was going to be divided. Solomon was like, okay, Kuku divide the baby and give each mother one part of the baby. And of course, the true mother was revealed when the woman said, no, don't. I think she went on to say, let her keep the baby. I'm not sure now, but most likely that was what she said. Let her keep the. I think that was what was said. That let this other woman keep the baby, and then the other woman was like, no, kill him. Yeah, kill, divide the baby, and that's when the real mother was revealed. But you see, that news spread wide and far. That I believe that Solomon was not going to divide that baby. It was a wisdom move to actually know who the real mother was. But you see, that move alone spread far away of Solomon's wisdom and how he was able to solve hey, it is for 2 men to come. No, it's my child. It's my child. There's no DNA, no anything. It was a serious problem. Oh. Let's not read these stories as if hey, this story is deep. No, know that it's serious. But Solomon say, well, rather not Solomon. Did you say, no, it's my baby? No, it's not my baby. How are you going to solve it? Now you can say, oh, DNA. No, there's nothing like that then. So Solomon's wisdom spread abroad, far and wide, as we learn in the Bible, as a result of these things. This particular incident was one that was greatly, and so many with the work of the apostles as well, how the things that they did spread abroad. So, what I'm teaching is that when you stay in your place, the place you have been designed to be, not the place that you put yourself, or the place that they told you you should be, or the place that situation and circumstance takes you to. When you stay in the place that has been you've been designed for, God is going to shine the spotlight on you. Leave it. He is God. He's the one that knows how he's going to turn the spotlight and is going to shine on you turn by turn. I say this all the time. The person that was popular yesterday is I don't even want to say may not be popular today. It's not necessary, but we always learn about new people daily, and that's because God is shining the spotlight. A singer comes out today. It's not as if the person started singing today. The spotlight was just shine on was just anyways the spotlight shone on the person. I hope that's the correct English show. Anyways, let's not dwell too much on that. You get the point. So we see this for David. He's busy taking care of sheep and he's sharing his resume of all the things he's been doing to the king as some sort of guarantee that he can actually take on Goliath, which he then goes on to take on. And of course, a song was composed for him. Please go ahead to read all that. But it was a challenge that brought out David's strength. So some of people want to make impact, but they don't want anything to move. They don't want to have challenges. They don't want to. Let's go list it all. They don't want to make it like there's not. They don't want to stay in their place. They don't want to be busy. Did you know how long David continually took care of the sheep? So people want to make impact, but they don't want all of these things that I'm sharing, and it makes no sense. If you're going to be a woman of impact that God is going to shine the spotlight on, then you have got to understand that you will stay in your place and you stay in your place excellently well. In fact, it's when you stay in your place and you're so grounded in your field enough, and a lot enough is when you are called for, you have the confidence. A lot of people, when the spotlight is finally on them, they are shaking. It's really because they haven't stayed enough in their field and in their design. I'll close out this very important spotlight conversation of our impact series by saying, do you remember, if you live in Nigeria, there was one time that people were seeing snakes in the toilets? Snake this, snake that, snake. Do you remember that? And recently in Nigeria, at the time of recording this, there was one time that the spotlight was on the judiciary. Do you remember that? And I can go on and on. There are different parts, not just in Nigeria, even in the world. There are different times where different things will come to bear. I don't know how you see it, but I believe that from this video, you're going to start seeing it differently. For me, I don't just see it as, oh, this challenge is happening. So when that snake thing was happening, even though unfortunately some people passed on, I also saw it as an opportunity for us in the world to be introduced to snake whisperers, what they do, and to actually take them seriously. Mhm. So many people did not even know that such people existed, snake whisperers. They didn't know about that. But that period, and maybe the period after that, people started to know who these people were. And of course, those people who had been snake whisperers for years that felt like what they are doing was useless and they don't care about it. People don't care and they're just going to be broke and live a very unfulfilled life. Those people now started to see, of course, a lot of customers, even for nothing. Just say, just come first, just come and check my house. I just come, just they come, I go pay you. They come, that sort of thing. And recently on the judiciary, even though I know that the case is sweet for some people, sour for some people, that's not what I'm here to talk about. But we see, because up until then in Nigeria, which is recently at the time of this record, I think people thought everybody was an actress, or all you could be was an actress, a content creator, a musician. But people are now seeing, so the spotlight was shown. Whether now it was used for good or bad is not the conversation in this video. At all, far from it. But the spotlight was shown on the judiciary, and we can see where we started to see the strength of lawyers, judges, and so on. But lawyers, that's people in that profession, and the strength, the weaknesses. People were praised. People were called out. The point is there was a spotlight there. So if a person had been a lawyer for years and person thought nobody cares about this, my profession, everything is useless, nobody cares about us, all we do is just do this thing that nobody cares about, the person was wrong. because there came a time, and it can be recorded, where the spotlight was shown on them, and people started to know, oh, there's a profession like this. I'm sure that as a result of this judiciary thing, some people started considering doing law because they remembered that it was a profession. And I can go on and on and on. We see it a lot of times in the Bible of how God shines his torchlights of him of is what gives, I would say, how God gives an opportunity. But for the purpose of this video, we're using the spotlight, how the spotlight effect comes to those who he has called. Please, if you are not walking in his power and his design, it's not for you. Okay, it's for those he has called. I don't want to get into it, because if you are not working with God and you're not moving with him, then you are working with the devil. And the devil gives his people spotlight. I hope you know, he gives them opportunities, riches. I hope that you know that those people can get rich and get famous from doing sinful acts. So I'm not oblivious. I'm talking about as believers, those who want to do things God's way. Those are the people I'm talking to and I'm talking about. Very interesting conversation. We're looking forward to sharing with you. I hope that you go on to read all these other stories. We have the interpretation of dreams by Joseph and how he spotlighted the gifts that God has put on the inside of him. And there's so many other examples that you can learn from. So I would say to you, make sure, if there's anything you want to do, rather than hustling for hustling for to be known, do your publicity work. This doesn't mean you'll be shabby and you'll be shabby, irresponsible, very unmotivated. No, that's not what we're preaching. You do your work, you do your, because there's some people, they've done it to their own. So what? But this person that everybody's applauding, I know I can do times 10. It's those people I'm talking about. And you've done the sponsored ad, your stuff is I'm looking about that you're lazy, you don't do anything, you don't go out of your house, you don't invest money in anything. It's not you I'm talking to. I'm talking to those who are putting in the work, putting themselves out there. But it just looks as if the effort they put in versus the result doesn't match up. I want you to know that God is going to shine his spotlight on you very soon. And this is one of my most insightful, no, exciting, all of the series have been insightful. Exciting episode and news I'll be delivering to you today. You can reach us on WhatsApp if you want to be a part of our women's community, Wondiva Global Community. 0808 777 6755. That is 0808 777 6755. I'll see you in the next video, but please take our time to watch previous videos that you have missed, especially in this impact, regarding this impact videos along the lines of this impact series. I'm Sage Nell. I thank you for watching, and I trust that you put this into practice.